Thanks everyone for being here. Are we waiting on someone? All right, we're just going to stand awkwardly for the next 60 seconds. No, but before we get started, I do want to say that just thanks everyone for getting out here in such crazy weather and for being able to still report on our weekly update. Where's Ben? Oh, Eric? Aaron. Oh, very good. All right. Oh, very good. Very good. Let's say, speaking of bad weather and people who might be stuck in a storm, where's Ben? But apparently he's at home. All right, so we're good, right? Okay, thanks everyone for being here again. Thank you for coming out, even though the weather is just definitely winter weather today. So I hope everyone is being safe and warm. We will hear an update from Public Works in just a little bit about the road conditions and the treatment of the roads. But first, we got a few items that we're going to get through. First on the list is our Excellence in Public Service Award. So we're asking residents to nominate a public service employee for the annual Excellence in Public Service Award. Now it is in its 34th year. The award recognizes employees from the City of Wichita, Sedgwick County, and the Wichita Public Schools who exhibit the highest standard of service. The nomination process is open from 5 p.m. on March 4th, or that's when it does open. Nominations can be submitted through a form or on our website at wichita.gov. The Excellence in Public Service Award honors public employees who go beyond the call of duty and demonstrate the following: exemplary performance that has contributed to the public interest, innovative problem-solving skills that have improved service delivery, adherence to high ethical standards in carrying out job responsibilities, and also if you are able to be funny on Twitter and social media during times in which we need engagement and get the word out, such as when we have a pipe break, then feel free to nominate Megan. That bullet point actually isn't on the list, but it's one that should be. So honorees will be selected by a committee comprised of 9 public and private sector representatives. In April, they will be surprised at work by their supervisors, colleagues, and selection committee members and the media. So last year, this was pretty fun to watch those videos where their boss actually goes in and surprises them with this award. So the Excellence in Public Service Award is sponsored by the DeVore Foundation and by KSN. Next, we're going to talk about housing. So speaking of excellence in public service, I'd like to invite up our Housing and Community Service Director, Sally Stang, who is a absolute rock star. This past week, the City Council approved accepting a sub-recipient agreement from the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation to receive an additional $15 million in WERAP funding. So WERAP is the Wichita Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and it has allocated all of its round 1 and round 2 funding. So the next round of subrecipient funding helps out both our residents and it helps out the state. So if the state isn't able to get all this money out as efficiently and as well as we were able to do at the city level, thanks to the leadership of Sally Stang, then they might actually have to send that money back. And what we want to do is make sure it gets out into our communities for folks who need it, so we can keep our neighbors as strong as possible during the economic ups and downs of the pandemic. So with that, we're going to pass this over to Sally Stang, if we can jump more into details.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I'm so happy to be here. It's been a couple months since we've provided an update on the Wichita Emergency Rental Assistance Program. As the mayor indicated, we have expended all of our round 1 and round 2 funding. So we've spent just over $18.7 million in direct payments to landlords and utility companies on behalf of families that had been impacted by COVID-19. It equated to 44,376 individual payments. It's a lot of payments to process in that time. It's gone out to over 1,000 individual different landlords in our community and helped over 2,600 families stay in their homes. So it averages to about a little over $7,000 per applicant household to receive that assistance to stay to stay housed. We're really excited that at this juncture, a program change is going to allow us to expand from providing up to 15 months of assistance to being able to provide up to 18 months worth of assistance. And so this additional $15 million from the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation is going to help us expand that benefit for these families and for other families who have not yet applied. We're really, really excited. It's been a lot of work. We actually launched the program on February 22nd, 2021, so next week marks the one-year anniversary. We did surpass milestones that were required by the Department of Treasury. The round one funding, we had to obligate 65% by the end of September 2021, and we actually obligated 100% by that milestone. And we had till September 30th of 2022 to expend it, and it is fully expended. We have had a goal of obligating 50% of the round two funding by March 31st, 2022, and it is all 100% is obligated. So we are definitely ahead of schedule, and is why the Kansas Housing Resource Corporation reached out to us to say, can you help us get some more money out the door? So this is definitely a positive thing. We're really excited to work hand in hand and try and provide additional resources to our community. So, well, thank you very much, and I stand for any questions you might have.
And she'll hang around towards the end.
I will hang around towards the end too. Yep, thank you.
All right, so Sally and her team have been working not just when it comes to the WERAP program, but also when it comes to serving our entire community. This year alone, the housing is slated to spend over $10 million on homeless services within our community. The one step in serving our unhoused neighbors is determining how much are currently in the community. So the annual point-in-time homeless count is a national effort undertaken once a year by professionals and by volunteers. The results are used to identify resources needed to address the issue, make local funding decisions, study trends in homelessness, and increase awareness about those who don't have shelter. So here to tell us more about this effort and how you can help is Matt Lowell, who works with our community input, who's the community input manager over at the United Way. So Matt.
The point-in-time count is it's our annual count that we conduct as a community of sheltered and unsheltered people that are residing in Wichita. This year's count will take place on next Thursday, 1 week from today, on February 24th, 2022. Teams will gather. We're meeting at the Salvation Army at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll send teams out throughout the day, and they'll go out to all of the encampments and other places where unhoused individuals gather to complete surveys and to gather needed information so that we'll know what our next steps would be. Teams are comprised of homeless service providers such as the VA, ComCare, the Homeless Outreach Team, the City of Wichita, and a wide variety of community volunteers. Information will also be gathered from our shelters. We do that through our Homeless Management Information System, which is a database that all of the homeless service providers share information in. Citizens are encouraged to call 211 if you encounter someone who you believe to be homeless, and we will send out a team to go out and to complete a survey with that person. Teams will also be armed with care bags that they will provide for everyone that completes a survey that have hygiene items and other personal care items in them. And as it was mentioned, while a requirement of the federal government, the annual point-in-time count provides us with a snapshot of what one night during the coldest months of the year, one night looks like for homeless people in our community. After the count, we'll begin the process of analyzing the data to ensure that accuracy. The data helps our community to know exactly who it is that's experiencing homelessness, whether if there's a lot of youth or if there's families, or exactly what it is, so that we can begin to tailor housing programs and other things around those needs to hopefully end the homelessness for those individuals that are experiencing that in our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And I do want to just give a extended thanks to United Way. This past meeting of the council, we actually approved a allocation to partner with the United Way for a program to help get our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness access to a vaccine so that we can somewhat although we had a bump in the numbers with COVID within the population who's experiencing homelessness not too long ago, we also want to make sure that we can somewhat stop that trend in the future. So with that, the next thing we'll talk about is the CE Academy, the Civic Engagement Academy. So departments like housing that serve our community in so many ways can be difficult to fully understand, especially since we talk in abbreviations. And that's why we have launched the Civic Engagement Academy. The city has opened up applications for our Spring Academy, and here to tell us more is Corey from our Community Service Department. So Corey, why don't you come on up and tell folks what the Civic Engagement Academy is?
Thank you, Mayor. If you're looking for a way to get involved in the community and you're just not sure how or where to start, the Civic Engagement Academy is a great thing for you to consider. It's a free 8-week course that helps residents explore civic engagement behaviors and action steps that improve quality of life for their families, neighbors, and community. Participants become acquainted with general city operations and an understanding of how the work of various city departments. There are several opportunities to experiment with civic engagement ideas that are built into the classroom activities and the optional homework assignments. The Academy meets twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, for 8 consecutive weeks. Right now, we're taking applications until March 2nd, and the Academy will begin on Wednesday, March 23rd, and meet for the 8 consecutive Wednesdays until May 11th. We meet in the evenings from about 5:45 to 8:30 p.m., and right now, due to COVID, we're meeting virtually via Zoom. So if this is something that you want to consider, I encourage you to go to wichita.gov under the City Council page and under the Neighborhoods heading to learn more about Civic Engagement Academy. You can send your questions to me from there, and you can also apply online straight from that webpage. Thanks.
And the Civic Engagement Academy is actually really not just great for folks who are interested in learning how our particular services in our city that we offer, but also how to get questions answered, who to talk to in different departments if you have an issue. But also we have seen a lot of folks who go through this academy actually step up afterwards and serve on boards. Some even run for office. So it's really a great kind of gateway into what we offer here as a city and what local governance is. So please make sure you fill out an application if you or someone that who might be interested in participating, make sure you fill out the application and get those in. So with that, we do have just an update with the neighborhood cleanup. So if you don't have time for a class, another great way to get involved in your community is to help out with our neighborhood cleanups. Last year, the neighborhood cleanups removed 616.9 tons of bulky trash and tree waste, 3,396 tires, 990 mattresses and box springs, and over 50 tons of metal was recycled during the neighborhood cleanup. And these are very specific numbers, which means we actually paid someone to go out there and count all this. But overall, we've had just a lot of success with these neighborhood cleanups and are looking forward to continuing that. If you are interested in submitting an application for your organization to host a neighborhood cleanup, those are open and available now at wichita.gov. So finally, the reason why I think everyone is here is we're going to get a weather update. So now I'd like to welcome up Aaron Henning with Public Works and Utilities to discuss our hardworking crews and how they have responded to today's weather. So Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we are under a winter weather warning until 6 o'clock tonight with good reason, I think, obviously. Forecast is for 6 to 8 inches of accumulation total. We've been at full activation since 4 o'clock yesterday. We started treating roads with salt sand mix around 8 o'clock last night to try to get ahead of the transition to freezing rain and sleet, try to prevent the buildup of ice as much as we could. That transitioned to snow around 2 o'clock this morning. And we had accumulated enough by around 4 a.m. to initiate plowing operations. And that's what we continue to do now. And we expect to be doing that for the foreseeable future. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
When do you guys start treating roots early? Because normally when we get rain beforehand, you don't treat it because it washes it away.
Yeah, so we have two kinds of pretreatment. We have a brine pretreatment that we can use. That we will use if there is no rain in the forecast. That gets washed away and diluted pretty easily. But we do have to have a fair amount of warning to use that. It takes us about 5 days to put that down on all of our designated routes. In this case, when we do have rain that's going to transition pretty quickly into freezing rain, sleet, other things that will accumulate ice, we do try to get a head start on that and pre-treat, but it's with the dry material that tends to hold better on the road. There is a limit to that, of course. I mean, if it was really coming down hard, we would have to, not do that because it would just wash right off the road. But last night was good conditions, and we think we got a lot of benefit from it.
One thing we talked about 2 weeks ago with the last winter storm was the wind and how that was causing some trouble. Are you seeing that again today?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, we are seeing drifting. We're seeing areas, that are open with almost whiteout conditions, actually whiteout conditions. It is really tough out there right now.
So you said you plan on having crews out for the foreseeable future. When do you think you might be wrapping up? Is the wind going to affect it? Anything else that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, the wind is definitely an impact. Our streets, for the most part, are curb and gutter streets. They're basically bowls. So when that blows around, a lot of it ends up in our streets. So we get kind of a double dose. We get the snow that's falling down and the snow that's blowing around. They're expecting the bulk of the snow to end around 1. There is a chance that it might continue until 3 or 4 or so. It looks like the wind should be dying down around 4 or 5 o'clock tonight. Up until that time, I think anything that we plow right now is probably going to be covered back up again pretty quickly. It usually takes us at least a full shift to get all the way around plowing all of the roads. So it'll be a while before we get back to that last one. In the meantime, temperatures are going to be falling. So we probably are going to have quite a bit of snowpack remaining overnight. Conditions tomorrow, though, are supposed to be sunny and a lot warmer. I think they have a high of 39 or so. So we hope to see a lot of progress tomorrow. But we do expect to be engaged through at least tomorrow.
Speaking of that snow that's blowing back on, are you plowing it anyway?
Yes. Yeah, the snow that we plow off isn't quite as susceptible to blowing back in because it does have the material in it. It has started to melt. It is wetter and heavier. It's the stuff that we haven't done anything with. It's, you'll see some areas of grass where it doesn't look like there's even an inch of snow because it's all blown off.
Any advice to drivers who might be dealing with some visibility issues as far as the wind and swirling snow?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, we'd encourage everyone to stay home if you possibly can. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know if there's really a good solution to the low visibility problem other than just stay home if you can. But if you do have to get out there, you of course want to slow down, plan ahead and allow plenty of time to get to wherever it is that you're going, and make sure that you have an emergency kit in the car just in case something does happen.
Does the ice play any part, a little bit of icing? We had that rain, freezing rain. Is that a little different from last time? It wasn't, we didn't have to deal with the ice kind of.
Yeah, I suppose it's somewhat different. With the amount of snow that we have, I don't think it's going to play out a lot different than last time because we do have a good layer of snow on top for the most part that's going to still provide some traction.
You plan on having crews going until sometime tomorrow probably?
Yeah, I would say at this point, we're 100% going to have people in at noon to relieve the outgoing shift. I would say there's a chance maybe they don't have to work all 12 hours. We are on 12-hour alternating shifts now, but we'll just have to see. I mean, we don't know what we're going to end up with snow-wise yet. It could be the 6, it could be more than 8. Who knows at this point?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of similarities to this snow is the one about 2 weeks ago, except for tomorrow's higher temperatures, which is probably good news for me. Did you guys learn anything, doing anything differently, or just trying to take it step by step?
We're taking it step by step, yeah. Yeah, these are challenging, this one in particular, the timing of it, it coincided with rush hour traffic. We had 2 or 3 inches down. It takes us a long time to get over all the routes. So when you have that 2 or 3 inches of snow or whatever it might have been at the time, exposed to traffic in these cold temperatures, it gets compacted awfully fast. And at that point, then there's, plowing doesn't do a whole lot for that. There's no down pressure on the plow. Plow tends to ride over that. Then we kind of have to wait for our material, hopefully some sunshine and traffic to combine to get that to really start to melt and break up. One of the things I will mention kind of related to that, just because we do get questions about it from time to time, our trucks are typically in pairs. We do have a few routes that have 3, but they have designated routes that they service. So when they are plowing, they are always treating behind them, because when we plow, it slicks everything off and it can become a real ice rink out behind us if we don't treat. So those trucks are doing that on their routes. They will have to return to get refilled with material. They'll have to return to change a plow blade, things like that. When they do that and they go to, or fuel, fuel's a big one too. When they do that and they have to go back and then return to their route, they do not plow and treat in between, because if we did, we'd have everybody kind of concentrically going out from the base station and we'd never get very far. So when you do see trucks with their plows up, they're probably en route to get fuel, coming back from getting fuel, something like that, and returning to the route that they are assigned to.
And just do want to thank our workers out there making our streets as safe as possible. As was mentioned, they're working 12-hour shifts right now. They're working overnight. Also, just want to thank our staff who's been on top of this. If you are not following our official social media, we would encourage folks to do so. Just yesterday, when we got more details about the weather, they put out a statement on our official Facebook and Twitter page telling folks what to expect this morning. And again, our staff is recommending that if you don't have to go out, please don't go out. My personal experience driving here this morning is it took me twice as long. And I'm someone who learned how to drive in New Hampshire in December. So very familiar with snow, and this the visibility part is, and the wind part is just factors that make this storm unique, at least in my experience. And of course, we do want to encourage people to keep their lights on. If you have folks in front of you and you can't really tell if you have your lights on, it might be a little easier to navigate through some of the less visibility. With that, we open up to other questions, really anything. I take any questions at all, and we also have staff, so if you ask me something too hard, I will shift it over to likely Sally Stang, who knows everything. It always makes Megan nervous when I'm like, I'll take any questions, and she says, no, we're done. No questions. All right, thanks, guys.